80 million trees instantly flattened, yet not a single impact crater remains. A detonation ripped through 2,000 square kilometers of Siberian forest, an explosive force equivalent to 1,000 of the most devastating bombs humanity has ever conceived. But where is the evidence of its origin? Scientists still cannot reconcile the scale of the destruction with the absolute lack of physical impact. Today, we will dissect the moments surrounding Earth's most colossal atmospheric detonation, trace the desperate search for answers, and confront the impossible physics that continue to defy every scientific explanation. This isn't just a historical footnote, it's a case file that refuses to be closed. The morning of June 30th, 1908 began like any other in the isolated Podkamennaya Tunguska River basin of central Siberia. Indigenous Evenk people herding reindeer and Russian settlers going about their daily routines had no warning. At precisely 7 o'clock and 14 minutes a.m. Central Siberian time, the world shifted. Lower pitch. An enormous explosion, a terrifying roar that traveled for hundreds of kilometers, tore through the remote wilderness. Eyewitnesses describe a column of blue light, nearly as bright as the sun, streaking across the sky before an unfathomable flash ignited the horizon. The heat was so intense, so sudden, that one man, seated on his porch 40 miles away, was thrown from his chair, his shirt smoldering. Others reported feeling their clothes burning. Then came the shock wave. It knocked people off their feet over 60 kilometers away, shattering windows in villages hundreds of kilometers distant. Train conductors on the Trans-Siberian Railway, a staggering 600 kilometers south, felt tremors and heard the distant thunderous boom. Seismic stations across Europe, from Irkutsk to Jena to Washington, D.C., registered the event. The atmospheric pressure variations were so significant they were detected as far away as Great Britain. This was not a local disturbance. This was a global phenomenon. Yet, for over a decade, the site remained largely unvisited by scientists. The sheer remoteness, coupled with the upheaval of World War I and the Russian Revolution, meant the world's most powerful non-nuclear explosion would wait for its first true investigator. That man was Leonid Kulik, a Soviet mineralogist who finally reached the desolate Tunguska site in 1921 and then extensively in 1927 and subsequent years. His mission? To locate the meteorite, the iron-nickel fragments that surely must have caused such an event. He expected a vast crater, a landmark of cosmic collision. What Kulik found defied all expectations. Spanning an area larger than many European countries, 80 million trees lay flattened, their trunks pointing radially away from a central point. The scale of destruction was breathtaking, a perfect circle of arboreal devastation. But at the exact heart of this devastation, where a crater should have gouged a monumental scar into the earth, Kulik found only marshland and slightly elevated, but still standing, trees. These trees, inexplicably, were stripped of their branches and bark, resembling telephone poles, yet they stood upright. No crater, no meteorite fragments, just an eerie, unsettling silence where the evidence should have been. This was the official record, documented by an investigator who literally staked his career on finding what wasn't there. This brings us to the core of the Tunguska mystery, the facts that simply refuse to conform to our understanding of physics. The absolute absence of an impact crater is the first, most glaring anomaly. Every known event of this magnitude involving a solid celestial body striking Earth leaves a monumental depression. Think of Meteor Crater in Arizona, or the much larger Chicxulub crater linked to the dinosaur extinction event. These are permanent scars on our planet's surface. Tunguska? Nothing. Not even a significant depression in the marshy ground. Then there is the blast signature itself. The pattern of the flattened trees is what scientists call a butterfly pattern, indicating an airburst. This means the object exploded several kilometers above the surface, creating a downward-focused shockwave. The standing, denuded trees at the center perfectly fit this airburst model. Had a meteorite struck the ground, the trees at the immediate point of impact would have been pulverized and a massive crater would have formed. Here, they remained strangely intact, stripped clean by the unimaginable heat and pressure. Consider that for a moment. How does something unleash such unimaginable power yet leave absolutely no trace of its presence? What kind of celestial object could generate such a colossal explosion, vaporizing completely without leaving behind so much as a discernible pebble? Kulik's later expeditions and those that followed meticulously sifted through the soil. They found microscopic silicate and magnetite spherules, tiny glassy beads. These are consistent with extraterrestrial material that has been heated to extreme temperatures, but their scattered nature and minute size cannot account for the sheer mass of an object capable of such devastation. There were no large fragments, no definitive meteoritic iron. The vast amount of energy released, estimated to be between 10 and 30 megatons of TNT, simply vanished without a trace of its source. Furthermore, post-event atmospheric phenomena present another layer of strangeness. For several nights following the explosion, the skies over Europe and Asia glowed with an unusual luminosity, described as silver nights or brilliant twilight. People could read newspapers outdoors at midnight in London and Paris. This was attributed to vast quantities of dust and ice crystals injected into the upper atmosphere by the Tunguska event, scattering sunlight. This particular effect, while awe-inspiring, offers little clarity on the nature of the object itself. For decades, Soviet scientists meticulously catalogued the devastation, yet official reports always danced around the most inconvenient truth: the utter lack of a smoking gun. This case is real, documented, and officially unsolved. The paradox remains: an event of immense, indisputable force born from an object that essentially ceased to exist upon detonation. So, faced with such an overwhelming enigma, what theories have emerged to try and explain the Tunguska event? The most widely accepted, and perhaps the least unsatisfying, is the meteoroid airburst theory. Proponents argue that a stony asteroid or an icy comet, likely around 50 to 100 meters across, entered Earth's atmosphere at an extremely shallow angle. Due to intense atmospheric friction, the object rapidly heated and disintegrated, exploding at an altitude of 5 to 10 kilometers above the surface. The resulting superheated plasma and shockwave caused the devastation below. This theory neatly explains the absence of a crater and the radial flattening pattern of the trees, as the energy would have been dissipated in the air. The microscopic spherules could be remnants of the ablating object. However, even this prevailing theory has its vulnerabilities. For an object of such size to completely vaporize at that altitude, leaving almost no larger fragments, is still unusual. While comets are mostly ice and might leave less solid residue, a stony asteroid, typically fragments, scattering identifiable pieces over a wider area, even after an airburst. The complete evaporation required is extreme. Another, less accepted theory proposes a small comet impact. In this scenario, the object would be primarily composed of ice and dust. Upon atmospheric entry, the immense heat would cause it to rapidly sublimate and explode, leaving little to no solid residue, thus accounting for the lack of a crater and fragments. While compelling in its simplicity, it struggles with the sheer destructive energy. For a body composed mostly of ice to generate a blast of 10 to 30 megatons is a colossal energy conversion, and again, the absolute lack of any specific identifiable comet material beyond generic spherules leaves a void. More fringe, yet historically discussed, ideas include the passage of a miniature black hole through Earth or an antimatter fragment annihilation. These concepts, emerging in the mid-20th century, offered explanations for the complete disappearance of the object. However, a black hole passing through Earth would have left an exit hole, which was not found, and antimatter annihilation would produce a distinct gamma-ray signature that was not detected. These theories are largely relegated to the realm of scientific speculation, unsupported by any direct evidence. And of course, we cannot ignore the popular theories of a UFO explosion or an exotic weapon test. These narratives, while captivating in popular culture, lack any shred of credible, documented evidence. They often arise from the frustration of finding no conventional answer. Each theory, in its own way, attempts to impose order on a truly chaotic event, yet none can completely reconcile the gargantuan scale of the destruction with the unsettling emptiness at its core. we are left with a phenomenon that simply doesn't fit the expected patterns. This isn't just a historical footnote. This is a monument to our scientific blind spots. It forces you to confront the realization that even with all the instruments of modern science, all the data we collect, and all the theories we construct, there are events so singular, so perfectly elusive, they resist assimilation into our understanding of the universe. The Tunguska event isn't just about a blast that happened over a century ago. It's about the fragility of our certainty, the profound implications of an inexplicable force that arrived, unleashed hell, and then vanished, leaving behind only questions. It makes you wonder what else could pass through our world, utterly redefining physics in a single, unanswerable moment. What other colossal forces are at play beyond our current perception? The 80 million felled trees of Tunguska stand as a silent testament to a force we cannot categorize, a puzzle we cannot complete. We've peered into the heart of this impossible destruction, weighed the absence of evidence, and found ourselves staring into a void of understanding. Join us as we continue to tear open the case files of documented reality, forcing the inexplicable into the harsh light of scrutiny. There are more truths awaiting us, more mysteries that demand our unwavering attention, each one poised to challenge everything you believe about how this world truly operates. The next forgotten file holds a revelation even more disquieting, a secret that has been waiting patiently for over a century, ready to be unearthed.